And we were looking for case histories of people. Unfortunately, when you find people with thyroid problems, they've already been to the doctor, and the doctor does something that makes you a lifetime customer. They give you radioactive iodine to test the activity of your thyroid, because iodine is a component of thyroxine, and your thyroid absorbs iodine like a magnet. And if you're low in iodine, that's another reason you can have low thyroid. And if you're high in iodine, it actually can go either way. But iodine affects your thyroid and its function. So if you have, they give you radioactive iodine to see how much it's taken up by the thyroid, to have an idea of how active your thyroid is. And unfortunately, since it's radioactive iodine, it can damage your thyroid. And if they discover that your thyroid is kind of weak, they'll give you more radioactive iodine to just burn the thyroid away, and then literally. And that's how they call it ablating the thyroid. And then they put you on thyroid medication for the rest of your life, because they figure the thyroid wasn't reliable anymore. So they'd rather just get rid of it and put you on fixed medication so they can control your dosage. But I think the body probably prefers the natural way of controlling it, because sometimes you might need more or less. But people they have to watch their regimen when they start taking these thyroid medication for the rest of their lives. So if you have too active a thyroid, they'll also get rid of it with radioactive iodine. So that's usually what I run into when I try to get testing this. But I found a man in our neighborhood here in Hawaii. He used to be a cameraman in Hollywood, and he retired here, and he built a house right along the road along the coast. And he was upset that people were driving by very fast. It's supposed to be a 25-mile-an-hour limit, but people go 40 and so forth. And he got very upset, and he would yell at people. I mean, he was out there on his road just yelling at everybody, "Slow down," as they go by. And he was a vigilante against speeding, because he just was pissed off. Came to Hawaii to live a quiet life along the coast, and here were all these people speeding past his house. Well, we were working on the thyroid and coming up with this theory, and I hadn't seen him for several months, and he told me he'd been sick. Apparently, he developed hyperthyroidism. He went to the doctor, and the doctor diagnosed that, and he had his thyroid ablated with radioactive iodine, so he was now on lifetime medication. And I told him, it's because you're overstimulating your thyroid. And as I was telling him, a car came by real fast, and he just reflexively yelled, "Slow down," and I was just telling him this, and he suddenly looked at himself and realized I was completely right, but it was too late for him, and he stopped yelling at cars. But he's now on lifetime thyroid medication, and sometimes it looks like he's taking too much. You could see it in him, and he's definitely aged a lot faster now. And once your whole metabolism gets thrown off, and you're taking drugs to try to keep your, it's not good. So he was a lost cause, but I would have told him to stop yelling and give your thyroid a chance to heal, because a lot of hyperthyroidism is transient. It's known to go away and get better by itself. And a lot of people get hyperthyroidism when they're stressed. And what do you do when you're stressed? You yell a lot. So people who start yelling more than usual, they're going through life events that are making them use their voices more than they would, and usually screaming, they'll end up overstimulating, overvibrating their thyroid and getting hyperthyroidism, releasing too much into their system, because it's stored there. And if you just overdo it, you release a lot of the stores. But then with time, your thyroid will heal, and everything will go to normal again. But you need to give yourself like several months of healing. If you go to the doctor right away, they'll put you on drugs and make it so your thyroid won't be able to heal. The other case is, what happens if you use your voice less? And hypothyroidism is a problem for women, especially, and especially women like in their 50s, when they oftentimes are going through family situations. They have empty nest syndrome, and often they have divorce. So what could happen is, if a life event happens, and I've met several women like this, they're in their 50s, they went through something traumatic, and they stop singing or chanting or things that they used to do in their lives. What I think happens is we get used to a certain amount of vocalization all of our lives.